Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And this is the first video we're recording after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I didn't do a live stream this morning because I knew that would dominate the entire conversation, and I didn't want to be like taking super chats talking about this. It just doesn't feel right. We're going to talk about people in the media, because we're going to keep this tied to pop culture. People in the media who were celebrating his death yesterday. And I mean, there were people celebrating his death audibly on Bluesky, and Bluesky has apparently told them to shut the hell up about it. Like, stop celebrating. We've got people actually on the left who are denouncing this. I mean, we got like Mark Hamill denounced it, and I felt kind of bad because I put a video up yesterday talking about.
But right before it, he was basically referring to others. So
that's what we're going to talk about. We're like, they're denouncing it now, but like people like Mark Hamill helped stoke the fires that probably led to this. That's
why I'm angry, and I've got a rant incoming and a half, and I will tell you that now. And if you saw me on Twitter yesterday, I went off afterwards, but I was pissed yesterday. I'm going to elaborate more on that today. But I completely blame all of this on the media, on Hollywood, on, social media politicians who are, totally constantly trying to, stir the pot. That's who I blame this on. Yeah. And, but before we get into it any further.
Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Again, guys, we are not a political channel. It's just the problem is that the politics and the pop culture, it just keeps crossing over, and I wish to God it wouldn't, but some of the worst people out there are working in the pop culture space.
Yes.
I mean, that's the truth.
The thing is, this isn't a, this isn't an issue that's like, people are getting accused if you speak against, well, you must be a Republican. Before we get started, fuck you. I'm not even Republican. I'm not even Democrat. I'm independent. I've always been in the middle. Actually, I used to be left, but because of everything that's been happening, I would say I'm center or center right now, because you just keep pushing. I didn't change, but you keep shoving everyone over there, and the few people you had left, now you just piss them off. Yeah. You guys are just colossally effing stupid. Saying that you think it's wrong is not a political stance. This never should happen, ever. No. And if you think it should, you are a vile piece of shit, and you need to re-examine yourself because you aren't human.
Yeah, then that's what this feels like. I mean, this is like a litmus test for humanity, right? For me, because it's like if you're human and you're writing, especially if you're working, we're going to talk about a writer at DC Comics getting gone rightfully for celebrating on Bluesky about the death.
Well, they need to learn this lesson. You need to learn that going online and being a piece of shit has consequences. What do they say? Freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the bullying. I'm tired of the, you have to tiptoe because you might offend somebody. I'm tired of it. I'm sick to death of it. You know what? Most people are in the middle and they all think you're full of shit. And now you just drove much more people to the right because your behavior is directly causing everybody to move away from you.
That's So that's what I wanted to say. And that's what I was saying yesterday is like, you want to know why that election map lit up red last time. It's because of shit like this. It's basically, it's the humans against the people who just are at this point
mentally ill.
I mean, humans are mentally ill, but like
the people that still have humanity against those that are mentally ill. They're so politically pickled that they're all about the party, all about identity politics, all about whatever. That they are just so out of touch with basic everyday people.
Empathy. I mean, for all this talk of like have empathy toward this group or have empathy toward that group. Like you write superheroes, and superheroes are supposed to be compassionate sometimes to a fault. I mean, you look at Batman and Superman; they're always letting the bad guys go. They're
this isn't the boys,
right? But they got to, because if they don't want to become the villains, right? They don't want to become the villains, but we've got people working in pop culture who literally are the villains, and they think it's okay, and they cheer each other on. And like, look, I'm not making excuses for people out there that are actually bigots and homophobes and misogynists and blah, 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 blah.
No, they're pieces of shit too.
Right. but you can't control other people. You can control yourself. You can't sit there and take the moral high ground and say, well, we're the good guys. We're the good guys. And just behave as a subhuman piece of shit. Because I mean, I would say the same thing if it happened on the left too. If somebody got,
I said that too, and then people were like, "Then it wouldn't happen." I'm like, I'm not saying it would. I'm just saying I would say the same thing if it was the other side. Look, I would say the exact same thing I'm telling you now.
This derangement. I'm going to be honest. I mean, yeah, I'm seeing most of it. I'm seeing most of it from the left these days, but it doesn't discriminate. Like, people get weird ideas about what's going to fix this or fix that, or who to blame their problems on, and that is the biggest issue, is that this has been allowed to fester. I mean, we're going on a decade now of this festering, and then we always put a Band-Aid on it. Nobody ever stitches up the wound.
You're not allowed to, because as you try, they would deliberately try to guilt you into you're a bad, terrible person, and people used to fall for it. But
it doesn't matter. At this point, it's better to be the bad, terrible person than to have more people die.
But the source of the infection, if we're going to be completely honest here, the source of the infection is the media. The source of the infection is the media. The source of the infection is social media platforms. The source of the infection is Hollywood and politicians that push for people to incite bad behaviors and stuff. That is the source. That what needs cut out are those things. Those things are the bad apple in the bunch are those things, because you have the media, and I said this yesterday. You have the media perpetually telling people that and spinning it that Trump's a Nazi, and everybody who supports him is a Nazi, and everybody around them, oh, it's fascism. I would like you go look up the definition of fascism when this is going on, by the way. Yeah. They're all going on about this stuff. So you take people that are already, not necessarily all there mentally to begin with, okay? And then you start filling their heads with the fact that, you're loading the gun and pointing it and saying, go do it. No, not to be like, no pun intended, but that's what they're doing as an analogy, and they're saying to go do it. And these people are going to go do it because you are perpetually telling them they're already politically pickled. They're already like not thinking straight or whatever, because they feel like, because you're telling them, well, your identity is being challenged. Your identity is being challenged. And don't you think it's like Zoolander, obey my dog. It's like that, they're so, so messed up in the head. And usually it's a certain type. There's the case in point.
Yeah.
But the media and the politicians and stuff are constantly perpetuating it. You've got politicians out there telling people basically to go, stand up. If you get violent, if you have to. We saw it during the protests. These people are what's causing it. They're out there like, oh, this is terrible. You are responsible. Flat out. You are the ones who are fucking responsible. Hollywood, looking at you too.
Because here's the thing, like, they want to blame YouTubers and they want to blame podcasters. And they want to blame people. Be like, oh, we shouldn't let people watch YouTube because they're going to go getting some funny ideas. But meanwhile, you've got people in Hollywood. Like, and again, I did the video yesterday about Mark Hamill, and I props to him. I think I have it pulled up that he actually did denounce this, that we should not be doing this.
Leading up to it, how was he behaving?
He was like, they're Nazis. There was, okay, so the article I was reading yesterday, it was talking about, he was on the Mark Maron podcast, and he literally referred to anybody who followed Trump or supported Trump in any way as an other. And like in the art, like that literally out of his mouth, he was like, and basically the good people, which would be our side, and then the others. And I'm like, well, when you other, more than half the country at this point, it's very easy to view them as being not human and like, oh yeah, they're look, always punch Nazis, always kill Nazis. They're Nazis. Oh, okay. I'm miserable right now, so it's their fault. And if I get rid of them, the others, then I'll be happy, or my people will be happy. We'll all be happy.
My identity is in my head. That 20 checkboxes won't be challenged.
Mark Hamill spends all day talking about how awful Trump and his followers are. All these celebrities, not all these celebrities, a lot of these celebrities in Hollywood, that's the same thing, because they get social media fist bumps, but they're getting social media fist bumps on places like Bluesky, and Bluesky is a festering boil on the ass of the internet. Bluesky and Reddit are probably the two worst places on the internet right now, where these literally like terminally mentally ill people congregate, commiserate, and plot. And then they go out to Discord and plot shit. It used to be if we didn't like you, we just got you canceled from a comic book convention, or we got you, canceled from crowdfunding or whatever. Now they literally kill you. That
wasn't right either.
Yeah. Now they literally kill you. Now they, like before, they would drive you to suicide. Look at Ed Piskor. They'd drive him to suicide. They'd coordinate and drive him to suicide. So they
never should happen.
Never should happen. So they didn't have to get their hands dirty. And now it's like literally let's just What,
and even the fact that these people were like they're cheering and celebrating it, you are just as complicit because you are like encouraging this behavior.
Yes, it's like
you are complicit in this because it's like, look, I don't want to see, even if I disagree with somebody, I don't think that this should happen. There's people I absolutely could disagree with at every level. I still would stand against this happening. If someone did something like that to them, I'd be like, oh, hell no, this is wrong. I tell people, never do something like this. Never behave this way. And I'm going to tell you again, never behave this way.
Excuse me, I'm just like, if somebody did something, and again, so I want to put a pin in it right there. We don't know, as of recording this video, we don't know who the shooter was or what the motivations were. So I want to be clear on that because people are going to be like,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the behavior
we're talking about the reaction to it, celebrating it. If something happened to Mark Hamill, I would actually be very upset because he was Luke Skywalker, right? If something happened to, God forbid something would happen, somebody did something at The View or something, or Rachel Maddow on air, I would roundly condemn it because it's like that should not happen in America.
And if people celebrate it, I'd be like, oh hell no, you don't get to do this. But now from the pop culture end, which is what we were going to talk about, you have Bluesky celebrating, and that if you had to come out and say, hey, you can't do this. We have people that were, people are getting fired, and they had a college the other day. And this woman that was a main person at the college was out there doing it. They fired her.
Nurses, so people teachers. I mean, this is insane.
Yeah, people that you would be like, why are you in charge of children if you believe that people should be killed? Now, look, I get it because they're talking about I never really followed this guy. I didn't really know who he was because I don't get involved in a lot of that stuff. It's not pop culture related. It's not really something that I pay a lot of attention to. But they're mad because of school shootings and apparently he made comments. But the thing is, it's like, even if you take guns away, there's still knives. The guy on the bus with that girl from the Ukraine had a knife. UK, it's knives. It doesn't matter. If someone's going to do it, they're going to do it either way.
You can kill somebody with a number 2 pencil, right? If you're so inclined. I mean, you can kill somebody with your fists. I mean, were we all supposed to just be I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you personally believe.
It's hard to. We're having this like really serious conversation.
Toenail thing.
There's a toenail clipper ad on MSN. Here, let me refresh this.
I believe people should be allowed to, have guns. That being said, I believe that there needs to be a lot more checks and balances in that regard. And I also believe that no one needs an assault rifle to go hunting. I'm just saying. I
would say, and this is neither here nor there, but I would say my thing is like we have to figure out how to keep the guns out of the hands of people who should not have guns.
Yeah, but here's the problem. They're going to get it anyway.
Are they?
Even if they outlaw it, they're still going to get it anyway.
Well, we can make it harder, right? You can drive. Oh my God, there goes that toenail again. You can drive a car without a license, but you can make it harder. Anyway, that's a whole.
That's neither here nor there.
That's not the issue.
I didn't know who this person was, so I guess in some ways, teachers, I can see why they're being mad. But the thing is, outright, publicly saying, celebrating and encouraging this behavior is just sick. And I think we have a generation of people who grew up with the internet being there and being allowed to say whatever the hell they wanted. And they don't understand that you can't just say stuff and then it's why to say it online doesn't count. They don't understand this. Like that one person that was at the council meeting threatening to kill everybody where they knew where they lived and they got arrested and was shocked because I wasn't actually going to do it, but you said it. See, we come from a time where, before the internet, where words, had consequences. And you have a bunch of people who have been so trained. There's more toenails. A bunch of people that are so trained that they can say whatever they want and there would be no consequences. And now they're meaning consequences because you can't just say that. Even if you don't mean it, you can't just go posting that on social media, where everybody's going to see it, where your students are going to see it, your patients are going to see it, where people that, if you're a politician, where your constituents are going to see it. You cannot do that. I mean, you can, but this is what happens.
And then the wild thing about this. So again, I'm too old for Charlie Kirk, I guess, because he dealt mostly with like college age people, but
which is a smart place to go because the other side's been in there pushing shit the whole time. So,
but I'm vaguely familiar with him, but he's not somebody I watched or listened to. Again, contrary to popular belief, because the people are so pickled that they actually
we're not politically pickled here.
No, I don't. I don't like the I don't like the politics creeping into the pop culture space, but this is exactly what we've been talking about, because there is power in a platform, and the people that want to spread their ideology, which is usually socialist Marxist ideology, dangerous socialist Marxist ideology, they get themselves into positions in the media, and then they spread that out to the masses. And, I've got a whole theory, but I think a lot of it was coordinated and planned. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, I just happen to be a raving socialist and I like comic books. It's like, no, there's power there. You get yourself into the media, you get yourself a job as a journalist, you get yourself, you get your friends in, and they actually talk about that. These Marxist meetings and stuff. They talk about, just kind of basically seeding.
Hill Hydra. It's literally Hydra.
Yeah, Hill Hydra. And that's why we had, McCarthyism in the 50s, because they saw it. They're like, oh shit, these people are going to get in. And there were people that were wrongfully accused who shouldn't have been blacklisted from Hollywood. But, the intention was, I think, to keep these kinds of people out of Hollywood, because they knew what kind of damage would be done if they had control of the media. And we're seeing it.
And this is the result. But anyway, Bluesky put a warning out, and they did ban certain people on there, because the people were celebrating, and it was like it was awful. From my understanding, I didn't go.
I went out because I was kind of curious. I know I'm open, because I got hit upside the head with the Charlie Kirk stuff. I didn't know it was going down, and people were reposting not the distance video, but the close-up video. And I just happened to be scrolling, and that was the first thing I saw. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is disgusting. What is this? I'm like, oh my God, did this just happen? But it was so awful and so unbelievable that there were so many people that thought it was an AI video. And they're like, oh, this is a really sick joke to be posting.
People thought it wasn't real?
They didn't think it was real. There were several comments on the videos that were like, oh, is this AI? And it's like, no, this literally just happened. And then people were like, oh, he's going to be okay. I'm like, no, I saw it up close. He's not going to be, nobody's going to be okay after that. It was awful. But there were people even on X that were celebrating. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go see what's going on Bluesky. Cause I'm like, if they're celebrating on X, they're having a fucking party over on Bluesky. And they were, and there were so many of them, and they were just, delighted. They're like, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Well, you know what they say, what goes around comes around, karma, bitch. And it just kept on. And there were people on TikTok posting, celebrating. There were guys that were just like, oh yeah, yay, one for our side. That TMZ video, they tried to say it was,
oh, it's not that.
It was a traffic chase. At the same time they found out he died, there were people cheering. I'm like, bullshit. Your people are cheering. I don't think everybody, but it's like, there are people that are, again, I think it's because of the internet. People are so detached from reality. It's like, regardless of whether or not
feels like a TV show and not reality.
Everything feels like a TV show. It's like, oh, this character got, killed on this TV show. It's like, this was a guy, regardless of how you feel about him, right? You don't like his positions, whatever. He had a wife, he had kids, he had family. And just beyond that, like, you can't sit there and be like, oh, we're the compassionate ones, we're the good ones, we're against gun violence or whatever. And but except for this one case, I'm like, okay, this is. But they were
Well, that's what
celebrating.
they're trying to spin too, because they're deliberately trying to, incite. And then when people fight back, on the other side, they're like, "I thought you were against violence."
Cry bullies. Yeah.
They're being cry bullies now,
Yeah.
and they're trying to cause trouble, and then they're basically, or they think that you're not going to do anything because you haven't so far. But I think people are going to start fighting back now, and that's concerning. And the whole thing is just going to erupt.
I'm gonna be blunt here. Every company that has people working for them right now, if any of your people were openly celebrating an assassination on this guy, and you catch them, you should fire them immediately, because that tells you everything you need to know about them. That tells you everything you need to know about them.
And what are they going to do in your company to try to keep inciting, discord, sowing the seeds of discord?
Yeah, and I mean, we had so many people on the left that were actually, I mean, again, we could say, hey, they were stoking it, but at least they were publicly denouncing it. You had Jimmy Kimmel, you had Colbert, Mark Hamill, Obama, Biden, if it was him, I don't know if he's capable, but whatever, the Biden account. And Harris was coming out. They were all denouncing this as a horrible, horrible thing. For Mayor Bernie Sanders, they were all denouncing it. And so these are the people that are like the quote unquote leaders of your side, publicly denouncing this. But you're going to go out.
Newsom denounced it.
Newsom denounced it, right? No human being would think this is okay, especially in what was supposed to be a civilized society. We're supposed to be, And meanwhile, we've got so many people that claim to be on the left that are out there like having a fucking party. And they're doing it. Bluesky, we have told you before, Bluesky is one of, if not the most awful place on the internet. The only place worse, I think, is Reddit. And then actually the worst is Discord, because they do it in secret. But they're all coordinating on Discord. We'll talk about it. Anyway, this is Bluesky's statement. Bluesky issued a warning. Glorifying violence or harm violates Bluesky's community guidelines. We review reports and take action on content that celebrates harm against anyone. Violence has no place in healthy public discourse, and we're committed to fostering healthy, open conversations. So they're banning people. I hope this bitch got banned. This is Gretchen Felker Martin, who and this one was making the rounds on Bluesky yesterday. Horrible. I'm only pulling it up here because we need some context as to just what a horrible person she is. Gretchen Felker Martin says, thoughts and prayers, you Yahtzee bitch. And then hope the bullet's okay after touching Charlie Kirk. And she's writing for DC Comics. And this is not
she was.
She got fired. This is not the first time she said inflammatory shit like this. And companies, I'm telling you right now, you need to disavow people like this, because
you need to stop hiring these people.
Stop hiring them.
At least until they clean up their act and they can prove they're mentally balanced.
And they're not. They're like, again, this isn't just like, oh, I've got different politics. This is like, I'm actively wishing death on people who I disagree with.
Yeah, there's a big, and there's people in your company, I'm sure, on both sides. And I think this is going to go. When someone's actively wishing death or harm to others, I don't care. You take politics out of it. When you have somebody in your company actively wishing death or harm or celebrating death or harm, do you want to keep them as an employee?
So they canceled the book, I guess. DC Comics said, and notice sent to, this is coming from Cosmic Book News. A lot of people were tagging, I was tagging DC Comics in yesterday. DC Comics cancels existing orders for Red Hood 2 and 3. Okay, I guess 1's already out. And any orders for future issues of the series, DC Comics will credit retailers for all invoice copies of Red Hood 1, inclusive of copies that may have already been sold. Why was it canceled? When asked by Popverse about the reason, they said, DC Comics, we place the highest value on our creators and community and affirm the right to peaceful individual expression of personal viewpoints. Posts or public comments that can be viewed as promoting hostility or violence are inconsistent with DC's standards of conduct. And, DC is owned by Warner Brothers. Zaslav's in charge over there.
Well, here's the thing, though. We've had like almost a decade now of these people being allowed to say whatever the fuck they wanted and with no repercussions. So they're like I said, you have a bunch of people who grew up on the internet and who've been allowed to say whatever they wanted to say, and they think that they're allowed to say it. And now there's consequences, and they completely are probably caught off guard.
So Ethan Van Sciver posted. He probably got their attention because he used to work for DC, and but this is what we've been trying to tell you. These kinds of people have infiltrated your companies. They've infiltrated pop culture. They've infiltrated various parts of Disney. They've infiltrated.
I want to be clear.
Comics.
It's not everyone.
Not everybody,
that
but
is a Democrat. We're talking about the ones that are like behave in this way.
That's why I wanted to clarify. We're talking about the people that are the mentally ill activists, violent. They have violent tendencies. I mean, when you had Max Visaggio out there making quote unquote jokes about wanting to take a ball bat to cis people,
and what happened? Nothing. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think they're allowed to do it.
Yeah. Like, I don't think any of these people working in comics really have the means or, I mean, I don't want to say it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think they're going to they're not going to do anything violent themselves, but what they do is they kibitz and cackle in the shadows and get people canceled, have their careers destroyed, and do harm that way. But they celebrate this shit. It's all the same mentality. It's about destroying anybody who disagrees with you through any means necessary. And they play dirty. And these people are installed in all these companies. Again, I'm not talking run-of-the-mill Democrats anymore. And people are like, alt-right Nazis. They're not talking about grandma who voted for Trump, right? I mean, it's like so you do have the extreme left. You have the, I guess as Trump used to call them, the alt left. There absolutely positively is an alt left. And these are the Marxist socialists, violent. I'm not even talking people that are like, yeah, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have universal income? I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that are like, we need a freaking revolution and we need to, kill anybody that's in our way. That shit. And a lot of these
accompanied with a bunch of flags. And, I have more check boxes than you.
Okay. So speaking of flags, this does not get mentioned often enough. I remember during BLM, there were a whole bunch of mainstream comic book creators flying the Antifa flag in their bios, and it was like, what the fuck are you doing? You would not be working for me if you were doing that any more than somebody flying a Nazi flag would be working.
That's my point. They've been getting away with it for years, so they just think they can keep doing it. And that's why they're out there saying it. Because I think if they knew if they were to get canned, they wouldn't have said it. But they are so used to being allowed to say whatever the fuck they wanted. And then Hollywood and the comics people and the media and all these people just let them do it. This is the result of letting these people say whatever the fuck they wanted. This is the result. I'm not saying you can't have freedom of speech, but there's freedom. When they say freedom of speech, we'll have freedom of consequence.
Yeah.
They're going to want Gina Carano fired because, she said about how people are being so polarized against each other that think it's okay. That they think it's okay to treat people like subhuman, kind of like what happened in Nazi Germany. And she got fired for it. But these people were getting away with saying far worse and they were never getting punished for it. Well, now it's caught up to them and you cannot go out and post stuff and celebrate assassinations on people that, especially ones that are people that are your own fellow American citizens, because, you're so pickled. Just put the jar of pickles down.
This is, so they fired this one writer because they got caught. And this is kind of like what happened with the guy. And what happened with the guy that was writing G.I. Joe wasn't nearly as egregious as this. Was it Aubrey Sitterson? And he actually has kind of turned it around. He got heated during, which is 9/11, by the way, but he got heated during a discussion about 9/11 because he was in New York at the time. And, he said some stuff he probably shouldn't have, but he wasn't actively wishing harm on anybody. He was just like, hey, yeah, everybody's celebrating 9/11. You weren't even there, but okay. And, when you're on G.I. Joe, which is a patriotic book, it's kind of like, yeah, you probably don't want to be saying stuff like that. But that wasn't anywhere near the level of literally celebrating somebody being assassinated. These people, what is going to happen is I think these companies are going to expunge them pretty fucking quick if they're smart. The thing is, a lot of their bosses agree with them. So if they get caught because they said something publicly, the boss will throw them under the bus, but the boss probably agrees with them. They're probably all, conspiring somewhere on Discord or Facebook, or we there are secret groups on Facebook.
I'm sure they're still going to be there. It's just they're not going to say anything publicly because, you know, they know it's not safe to do so now. But you're not going to, people are going to be like this no matter where you go. You're going to run into these toxic individuals. They're still going to be there. But the ones that are very vocal right now are going to be weeded out, as they should be. Like, there's been teachers. There people are going to go, try to boycott the game. It goes to Yotai or whatever.
Yeah, it goes to Yotai. And there's a whole list here. I know Grums and Legacy Killa HD were putting together lists of people that were celebrating this. Because, again, this shows you pretty much exactly what kind of people you're working with, but it goes to the top too. There's so many people that legitimately feel the solution to everything is to kill people that they don't like, that even if you fire, some underlings or whatever, you've still got the people in charge that still feel that way, and as a company owner, you have to be like, hey, is this, this is going to affect my business, because it's going to come out eventually that these people are huge pieces of shit. And, I don't know. I think what's going to happen now, if nothing else, I mean, I worry about what's going to happen next, the escalation. I talked about that yesterday, and some asshole was like, well, you want things to escalate. I'm like, no, I don't, dumbass. I didn't want things to get to this point. Like, we just want to talk about comics and video games and anime and stupid shit celebrities do. I don't want to get involved in a fucking civil war. That was never what I signed up for when we started doing this. I was just like, isn't it kind of funny that they're kind of ruining everything? Let's talk about it. And oh my God, what are they thinking? But I mean, what the fuck? I mean, it's all interconnected. This is what makes me so angry. You can't get away from it. People were even like, I remember when you guys started, you tried to stay out of politics. I'm like, I would love to stay out of politics. I would love to.
This guy was. I mean, and
I don't even watch Charlie Kirk.
I'm like, I didn't, because I don't. Normally, that's a crossover in pop culture. I don't pay attention to a lot of that stuff.
But the thing is we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention right now, because it's infested. The pop, again,
it's about choice.
It's about the platform. It's about the platform. These activists go for the platform. It's like catnip to them. They want power. They want influence. So what's the most powerful, influential thing out there? Oh, the media. So we get into the blogs. We start out at the gaming blogs, and we try to work our way up to the New York Times, the Washington Post, or whatever. Fucking MSNBC yesterday. I was
going to mention them, yeah.
As everything is going down,
they're the news outlet, the trusted quote unquote.
Oh, it's news. MSNBC. They're not.
I know.
But as it's going down, that motherfucker on MSNBC was like, maybe it's just a MAGA supporter who's celebrating it. It was a stray bullet. I'm like, bitch, that was a professional hit job. What the fuck are you like?
Well, yeah,
maybe
CNN
it's not. People are
talking about, the poor lady that got stabbed on the bus, and they're just like, well, he's a victim too, because he's got schizophrenia, and it's like, look, dude, I'll give him. I don't want to give him a pass, but I'm just saying, dude was clearly mentally ill.
Well, the first 14 times he was in prison or whatever the hell it was, they should have kept him in prison.
That's what I'm talking about. That kind of shit. It's like, two things can be true at once. Dude was mentally ill, but he should never have been let out. And I think what's going on is you have a lot of people who are mentally ill that would normally, several years ago, be put into treatment, be put into places that could help them, that aren't being kept there, that are being released because, they made a checkbox, and we can't do that because that makes us a bigot. And you have these people that aren't being treated as they should be treated in the way that they need help. And because of it, they're out there wandering around for whatever reason, and then they're just killing people, because two things could be true at once. They could be mentally ill, but it's also your fault because you didn't do anything about it when you knew.
Yeah.
And that's when you got a bunch of mentally ill nut jobs running, media, social media, all this stuff, and they're all over it. And then I just can't even. It's with this anymore. It's just so disturbing. Even people I know that are kind of far left, they were even saying, this is not okay. They're like, I know I didn't like this person. I didn't like what he said. That being said, I would never agree with this, ever.
What's so wild about this to me is like the only people that I don't come across these people in real life. And again, we're in the comics and anime spaces and stuff. And a lot of people in those spaces are left wing, and a lot of them, I would say some of them are pretty far left, but I can't think of any of them off the top of my head that are condoning this kind of violence, this kind of deranged behavior. No, because all those people are actually working for these big companies. They're working for these big studios. They're working for these comic book publishers. Like, these people are legit.
Working for the media.
They're working for the media. Like, I don't come in contact with them because they're embedded someplace else in some
like
city somewhere, and but like I don't know. I'm like, this has to be a wake up call to people. Again, even if you're on the left, you cannot sit there and take the quote unquote moral high ground and be like, yeah, it's totally cool to celebrate somebody getting shot.
Well, most people aren't.
College kids.
I think most people aren't. I would say the majority. I would say a solid like 90%, 95% of people across the board are like, this is not okay. This is not okay. I'm on this side. I'm on that side. I can't condone this. This is too far. And then you got that, like, I don't know if it's even high as 5%, but whatever, this tiny extremist, vocal minority out there like celebrating. And unfortunately, they're all, luckily they're all mostly on Bluesky, so it's easy to find them. But
yeah, but beyond that, they've got the big microphone. You can see it firsthand now that the reason all this insanity has happened over the last 8-10 years is that the people that actually think this way tend to work for these media companies. So we all got this impression that, like, oh my God, everybody on the left thinks, Trump's a Nazi and his grandma's a Nazi for support. And it's like, no, it's a tiny percentage of people who, if given the opportunity and the right circumstances, would just kill everybody that got in their way or that didn't agree with them or whatever.
Yes, because they're not right in the head.
No, they're mentally ill. They need, look, you need help. You absolutely need help. And again, you can kind of see signs of it because they obsess about politics. They obsess about Trump. They're obsessed.
Politically pickled.
Anytime somebody, like, their entire personality is obsessing about other people, that should be a huge red flag. And I'm not even talking political figures. I'm like, if you are just completely just obsessed with other people, to me, that sends a signal that there's just something that's not right, because you should be able to detach from that. You can be like, hey, I don't like this person, but I'm not going to blame everything on this one person. And again, back to like the Mark Hamill, and props to him for saying it was awful, but he has spent his entire,
so I was say he's one of the reasons this stuff's happening.
His whole
his whole, he's starting to realize it. He's like, oh shit, well, it went that far. It's like, well, who do you think's perpetuating this stuff?
Colbert
Mark
came out against it. Kimmel came out against this. Like, you have spent the last 10 years calling all conservatives Nazis, or heavily implying that they were Nazis and they needed to be expunged from society. They needed to be, they never went as far as to say these people need to be killed, but, somebody's got to take that as like, oh yeah, these people don't belong in society. So how do you take them? How do you take them out? Oh, okay. Yeah.
If they're gone, we can have whatever we want. So then
exactly.
everybody's
we can have utopia.
And
we can have
what my thoughts and who I am and all this other crap.
Chaz everywhere is what we can have. This is Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch's senior developer working on Ghost of Yotai. So, RIP that game, because I don't have any hope for it. People they were already like, yes, thing seems kind of woke. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, Drew, personal account. Yeah, views are mine. Senior staff, character texture, looking developer, annoying extrovert, ex-ILM, so Lucasfilm. Polly, she, her, Seattle, all the things you would expect, right? But there were a bunch of people liking this, and they said, I hope the shooter's name is Mario, so Luigi knows his bro got his back on Bluesky. Like, what the fuck? But a lot of these people are, producer at Sucker Punch, other people that work in gaming. And I know Asmongold's actually going to compile a list apparently and send it to the bosses. The problem is, and I said on the thread that the problem is that their bosses most likely agree with them.
But they have to make an example of them so that they don't lose their position.
Like, just shut up about it, dude. All you got to do is, like, we're all going to get fucking fired because nobody's going to buy the game now because the alt-right Nazis aren't going to buy the game.
They're just going to wait until it blows over, and then, like, unless someone's really egregious and people are really outright calling for them to be fired, the people that just like things are probably going to get away with it.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
This is just...
It's just, don't be these people. This is just disgusting. And it's like I said, when you have years of no consequences, this is what people feel emboldened to be subhuman and behave this way. And I think, you know, like I said, social media, the media, Hollywood, they are all, you know, they're the cause of all this.
I am just concerned about what comes next. I think yesterday, I think everybody was in a state of shock, and I think this is going to be the wake up call for a lot of people. I think that it's not going to go the way they think. I mean, again, we don't know. I'm going to put a little asterisk there. As of the recording of this video, we don't know who the shooter is, because every time I say that this is going to like cause so much damage to the left, if it's one of theirs, we've got people, well, we don't know. It could have been MAGA. It could have been, I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, whatever. Yeah, maybe, possibly. There's a very slim chance, but maybe, possibly. Regardless, people's reactions to it alone are going to cause people to say, you know what, we've been putting up with this shit for 10 fucking years now. We're done. We're done.
It's already starting. It's
already starting. So, I don't know. I'm concerned. I'm actually, I gotta tell you, I am more worried, I think, about the state of this country at this point than I have been in my entire adult life, because I don't know what comes next. So
I don't know. We're gonna wrap this up.
It's hard to talk about video games and comic books and shit. But,
well, we're gonna go. We're gonna go back to our regularly scheduled videos. After this is just one video talking about it. We wanted to address it.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.